You ever have one of those days when you realize, out of nowhere, your family's 30-year tradition could go up in smoke? Just because of one person who can't stand seeing other folks happy? I still remember the look on Karen Prescott's face when she barged through our old ranch gate that afternoon, like she'd come to personally hand us an eviction notice from the universe. She didn't even blink, just marched straight through clouds of barbecue smoke, her phone held high, hair perfect, voice shrill enough to send birds scattering. "This is an illegal gathering. I'm calling the cops, and every last one of you is going to jail." Yeah, that happened. You know what made it so wild? The police chief himself was right there in our backyard, flipping ribs on the grill like it was any other Sunday. Never mind the chaos brewing on the front porch. Family was everywhere. Kids playing soccer by the fence, aunts and uncles catching up, country music rolling off Uncle Frank's speakers, and Grandma's potato salad already half gone. It was one of those perfect days, the kind you pray for when the world gets hard. And Karen? Well, she was about to make sure we'd never forget it. She stormed in, waving her phone like she'd just found a crime scene, shouting about city ordinances and threatening to file lawsuits. Her chest puffed up with all the righteousness of someone who's convinced they're single-handedly saving the neighborhood. Times are changing. Dinosaurs like your family are going extinct, I heard her say, pointing that manicured finger right at my face. My hands gripped the barbecue tongs so hard I thought they'd snap. Aunt Eleanor, ever the peacekeeper, stepped forward with a plate of ribs and that gentle smile she's used to melt hearts for decades. "Honey, you look like you could use some home cooking and friendly company." For a split second, even Karen looked thrown off, like kindness was a foreign language, but she bounced right back with twice the venom. When she started recording, my cousin Ellie whipped out her phone, too. Classic Ellie, never one to miss good content. Meanwhile, Uncle Frank, never one to back down, cranked Johnny Cash up loud and yelled, "Hey Karen, this one's for you." The whole family was in stitches, but you could see storm clouds in Karen's eyes. She stormed out, heels clacking on the gravel, barking into her phone. I figured she was just blowing off steam until the police cruisers rolled in 20 minutes later. Now, I'm not easily rattled, but seeing Officer Martinez step out looking sheepish, with Officer Jimmy Walsh, my old high school buddy, trailing behind him, I felt my guts sink. Karen wasn't just complaining, she wanted a show. She showed up with a folder of paperwork and a self-satisfied smirk, demanding the police shut down our illegal event. She flashed her City Hall consultant badge like it was a sheriff's star and started listing off noise violations and unpermitted gatherings. I'll never forget the look on Jimmy's face. He was trying so hard not to laugh. But the tension snapped when I called over to Chief Daniel Brooks. See, what Karen didn't know was that the chief had been coming to our reunions for 15 years. When he stepped out from behind the grill, wearing his Kiss the Cook apron and holding a half-eaten burger, Karen went silent, like someone had pulled her batteries out. He greeted the officers, turned to Karen, and said, "Ma'am, I'm Chief Brooks. I hear you've got some concerns." You could feel the air change. Neighbors stopped pretending not to listen, and Karen's face went from red to ghostly pale. Chief Brooks, cool as ever, explained the law. No permits needed for family gatherings on private property. Noise levels are within limits. And the only thing illegal about this barbecue is how good it tastes. The whole place erupted in laughter, even the officers. Karen sputtered about corruption and conspiracies, but Chief Brooks cut her off, reminding her that filing false complaints wastes police resources, and the Harpers weren't breaking any laws. The officers tipped their hats, and Karen stood there like she'd just swallowed a lemon whole. But here's the thing with people like Karen, they never just leave it alone. Monday morning hit me like a ton of bricks when our reunion was all over the local social media, twisted into some Wild West narrative thanks to her edited videos and dramatic music. By noon, I had a formal warning from the community board about supposed violations and a $5,000 fine threat if we ever gathered again. 30 years of tradition, just like that, in jeopardy because of one woman with a vendetta and a knack for video editing. I'll admit, for a minute I thought about giving up. I sat in the old barn, breathing in the scent of hay and old wood, staring at a faded photo of my dad and grandpa from the first reunion. Maybe it was time to let go. Maybe Karen was right. But Ellie, determined as ever, tracked down Karen's City Hall credentials. Turns out she just updated the city's Facebook page once a month. And she'd pulled the same stunt before. Faked complaints, doctored evidence, tried to shut down an elderly couple's garden club. They fought back and won. That was all I needed. With Ellie's help, I posted the real video, unedited, raw, showing Karen's aggression and our family's kindness, straight to the community page. The tide turned fast. Neighbors shared memories of past reunions. Old Mr. Henderson piped in about us fixing his fence, and the board agreed to review all the evidence at the next meeting. But Karen? She doubled down. She doctored photos, rallied her witnesses, most of whom turned out to be old acquaintances from her previous neighborhood. The night of the board meeting, the room was packed. Karen marched in with her homemade press badge, waving photos she'd edited to make Uncle Frank look like a biker gang leader and kids playing soccer look like property vandals. Chief Brooks calmly testified. Then Ellie, cool as a cucumber, plugged in her tablet and played the original footage. Each of Karen's photos got demolished by the real, unedited truth, metadata and all. By the end, the crowd was laughing, and the board dropped every complaint against us. Karen was furious, threatening lawsuits, claiming our evidence was AI-generated. But it was over, at least for that round. Or so I thought. Next thing we knew, Karen was creeping around our property line with binoculars, tape measure in hand, jotting notes in a leather-bound journal. A few days later, the police came again, this time arresting Uncle Frank after Karen claimed he'd assaulted her. Frank, the guy who wouldn't swat a fly. But Ellie dug up security footage from a neighbor's window. Karen had faked the whole thing, giving herself bruises against a fence post. When confronted, Karen melted down at the police station, accusing us of running a conspiracy. The officers saw through it. Frank came home, and the whole town started to see Karen for who she was. But she wasn't finished. That's the thing about people driven by spite. They'll torch the whole field if it means winning. Karen filed new complaints, moved survey stakes, and tried to claim our fence had been built on public land, demanding we pay her $50,000 to make it go away. But Ellie, with help from her law school friends, uncovered Karen's history of lawsuits, her disbarment as a paralegal, and a string of failed property scams. The real clincher? We caught Karen on a hidden recorder, vandalizing our barn and moving markers while muttering about adverse possession. At the next emergency board meeting, we laid out every piece of evidence: audio, video, public records. When the board heard her own voice and saw her moving our markers, the decision was instant. Chief Brooks was ready. He arrested Karen for vandalism, filing false police reports, and attempted fraud. Her press badge fell off. Her witnesses vanished. She ranted about being framed, but nobody was listening anymore. The trial months later was almost anticlimactic. Karen tried to play the legal expert, but fell apart under cross-examination. The judge, fed up with her antics, gave her probation, community service, ordered restitution, and banned her from filing further complaints. When she finally left town, the whole neighborhood watched in silence. Nobody waved. Nobody helped as her suitcase split open on the curb. Storm clouds rolled in. Karma, if you ask me, has a sense of humor. 6 months later, our family reunion was bigger than ever. The barn, newly painted, stood as a silent reminder that truth, kindness, and standing your ground matter more than any fake complaint. Even the neighbors who doubted us came by to apologize and join the celebration. Ellie's video of the saga became a local legend. Karen's rants turned into memes. As the sun set, I stood by the same gate where Karen had once made her grand entrance, now just a memory. Sometimes the best revenge really is just living well and letting the truth stand for itself. But here's what I keep thinking about. When is standing your ground the right thing, and when does it just make you as stubborn as your enemy? What would you have done if your family's legacy was on the line? Let me know your thoughts below. Was justice served? Or did the system let Karen off too easy? Would you fight back or let go? Drop a comment, share your own story, and don't forget, sometimes the loudest voice in the room is just the one most afraid of silence.